Welcome to another episode of Sync and Desist.
Welcome. And yes, staring at my reflection a little bit, I do realize I do look like a beach bum. So maybe a haircut is in order.
I got the clippers.
You just.
I do skin fades only.
Because you've been cutting your hair for a while. Like, when was the last time you've actually been to a barber?
Well, I haven't been to a barber since since the recession in
right.
2008. Because my dad's cut my hair since. And then my last haircut that my dad did it's so weird that I remember this. It was when Infinity War came out.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last time I had. It was that and the sad vlog, the last sad vlog.
One thing
I think that was the same haircut.
Gotcha. Well, one thing about you is that your memory is like crisp. I don't understand. Like, you remind me of things all the time, or I'm just like, whoa, shit, that did happen. That did. Like, I literally like forgot about it or put it out of my mind. But like and the thing is, you vividly remember it. Like, when you do remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can tell me from like it's like that meme. It's like when someone's lying about you and or someone is like telling rumors about you and they're like, oh shit, what did I do next? Like, you actually like it's like literally you tell me about me.
You almost did that before we start recording.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you're like, we could talk about on the podcast how your big announcement. I'm like, I have a big announcement.
Yeah. Yep. I did do that to you. Okay, so we complete each other sometimes. And then sometimes I'm completely way off too. I'm way off. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just talking. Like,
a real thing Brad just recently says, like, I don't remember that.
I honestly don't remember that at all.
I was like, you remember you said this on the podcast? Like, you were way wrong. You're like, I said that? I just be talking, man.
But like, your memory is like vivid. So kudos to Rob's memory. How about that? Cheers.
Yeah.
If I had something to cheers with.
Yeah.
So, nah, but
how's your week been, Pallone? Turn this phone on silent.
I will say this year has gone by so fast. I'm in a group chat with my band right now, and we're like, my other band, Cascade, and we're talking like, okay, so when we doing these vocal sessions, and it's like, oh yeah, we got to do that. It's like, because it's already June, and we're like, no way. So yeah, I gotta find time to do that.
Yeah, because like time is flying by. Because my aunt was proposed to last year, and they set the wedding for the blackest wedding for Juneteenth.
What do you mean by blackest?
She's getting married on Juneteenth this week.
Oh
fuck!
Gotcha.
I have to get on the plane here in a couple of days. But they set the date out. They're like, so it's going to be in June. That was the last year. And it's like, oh shit, it's June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your birthday month too.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
Last birthday of my 20s. I said that to my brother yesterday. He's like, oh shit.
Then you made him feel old.
Yeah, 'cause he's next.
Yeah.
We're 16 or 18 months apart, something like that.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my week has been.
I was like,
what are we talking about? My week has been good. It's been good. Just planning out. So I got some vacation time. I'm trying to plan out. Maybe see if we can get some filming done. But we got to get everybody on the same.
Yeah, we got to get out to Dude Island. No one listening to this will ever know.
Your solo podcast was almost that. You told me
that. we were talking before we started recording, I cannot bring back politically inappropriate, not in this climate. And Dude Island would be worse.
Well, speaking of this climate, do you like when you say like this social climate, it's like cancel culture and things like that? Like, do you think that do you see it trailing off, like, or is it dipping off? Like, is the cancel culture thing kind of like starting to become a thing of the past, or because I almost feel like it's kind of slow, like it's hitting like that peak and then it's like it's slowing down. I don't know if it's that like people don't care as much or there's not as much going on just in general, or if people's mindsets are like shifting, because I don't know.
So fitting you should ask Brad. Last night, I was literally watching Bill Burr's stand up, the Paper Tiger. Or
I
whatever.
love that. That was good.
He was talking about cancel culture, and he's like, and this was 2019, and he said, now they're just making up anything. Like, I had a bad date, you just cancel them. Yeah. So, I feel like that's kind of like where we are. Like, it's just so much. Cancel culture is like everyone's just grasping for straws, and it's like you're just reaching, man. Like you're just coming up with whatever. And it's like some stuff is like, let's cancel people for like that real shit, and then if we cancel you, it's not gonna stick.
Yeah,
you know, like because we were talking like Logan Paul, because you brought up the Suicide Forest, and. Don't even know how we got to that. but I do, but I don't want to say. Speaking of cancel culture.
Yeah, right.
But we were talking about Logan Paul, and I was like, he's come a long way, because every once in a while I check in and I listen to his podcast, and it's like crazy to see how much he's grown since then. Like, I truly believe he has actually genuinely grown from when he was laughing uncomfortably about finding a dead body in the Suicide Forest. I genuinely believe he has grown since then, and that's what it's about. You know, that's what you hope for. Like, it's not cancel culture, it's let's counsel. You know, let's teach you where you went wrong, and then start your growth process from there.
Because I think referring to someone else that said this and said it way more eloquently than I'm about to say it, but that I feel like the left side of politics, quote unquote, great concepts, sometimes horrible execution or wording, because I don't necessarily disagree with the idea of cancel culture in essence of what it is, but I don't really think it should be defined as canceling someone, or it should be necessarily handled in the way that they're handling it, like with Twitter, or and then when someone has an apology and then they basically it's like, nah, they're still a piece of shit kind of thing. It's like it should be about counseling people. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I think the PR, the marketing of a lot of the left side of politics, even the defund the police, I think I'm for abolishing the system and starting over, and then creating new sectors that would handle certain situations instead of having the police handle every scenario. Mm-hmm. Defunding them, I wouldn't really word it that way. That's just me.
Yeah.
But I agree with the concept, though. Absolutely.
Because it sounds like we're just getting rid of them, but like, no, we're reallocating those funds into a different area, whether it's social workers or whatever. Yeah. You know, like in New York, Mayor de Blasio is doing the pilot program. I don't know exactly when that starts, but they're all mental health cases calls to 911 will be rerouted to rather than an officer, it'll go to a social worker. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then kind of going back to like what you said about like Logan Paul, like, because I don't know how long it's been since that video, but I know it hurt him for like a while, like his image. But
that was around the time we started Sync and Desist.
mm,
It was, I believe, within the first, because in the second sad vlog, we I made a joke about that. I was like, "What if we found a body?" Because we were out in the woods.
yeah,
I was like, too soon.
so that was a good like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
2018.
yeah, so he's an example, and there may be some other people that genuinely,
Like I said, Louis C.K.
Don't know.
He's back doing stand-up.
He is back doing stand-up, and
yeah, at least that once.
his stand-ups are.
I wish
perfect,
Louis
though.
was still on like FX or whatever. Like you can't even watch that show anymore. One of the best shows.
Yeah,
It's just a show about being uncomfortable.
yeah. But and you mentioned before we were recording too.
I'm sorry, Brad. We're not. It's a joke. It's sarcasm.
No, you mentioned.
I'm serious about Louis. I'm sarcastic about Louis C.K.
so
we're clear. Speaking of cancel culture,
Chris D'Elia, like apparently if you go back to some of his like older episodes before he got canceled, he said some things that didn't age well. But I think it's probably better to let the past be the past when it comes, like if someone's already canceled over, something.
Double jeopardy.
Yeah. Let's judge them for who they are now or hopefully becoming, and not go back in retrospect to like pre-cancellation, I guess. Because now they may not hold that. They may not, some might, but we don't know that for sure. So I wouldn't uproot any of that. And it would be, digging up a grave and then throwing them back in there again. Like, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. So like last night or whenever, hashtag I got canceled because.
Oh yeah, that was trending.
And I put in 4 words, I got canceled or something like that. And
you spoke the
truth. I spoke the truth. Why would you get canceled, Brad?
Because there were moments of the last few years that like, because there was a time when like I was used to being gaslit, some of the relationships that I've had over the years, and I kind of got used to being lied about, or certain things taken out of context and spread around, like I was still in high school, even though I was well out of high school. And I would occasionally get that anxiety of like, what if that person decides to twist information, and like, so like there's that sort of thing of that, like they're not going to tell you like all the good things that I did for them. Mm-hmm. They're only going to like highlight something bad or something out of context. It could have been like, they said one thing and then I said another thing in response that I know I shouldn't have said. And then they tend to highlight that and then throw that out there and say, well, he said that. And it's like, yeah, but that's in the context of years in a it's some type of friendship or relationship with this person, and they pushed me over the edge to say that, or stuff like that. I think about that. It was like, if but that would be probably what, based on a lie or based on something taken out of context. And it's like, would people believe me in that regard? And I believe that like over the last couple of years, like I've developed a nice support system to where they'd be like, yeah, no, that's BS. Like, we know
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And even if that was true, I mean, that was 8 years ago, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Your DNA changes every 7 years.
I mean, they tried to cancel Kevin Hart for decades old tweets.
They did try to do that. Absolutely. That is true.
And James Gunn.
But that's also people that don't, I mean, well, is it people that know them or don't know them that was trying to cancel him for that? Just internet people, or was it like, yeah. So
I know there's like one reporter that there's like some media like reporter that was coming after James Gunn and like brought up some crazy jokes that he said. And I've been following James Gunn for a long time. Yeah, he said some wild stuff, but it was also a long time ago.
Right.
When those jokes were acceptable.
Exactly. I mean, we were super bad. Pineapple Express, you know, some of the comedy of like the 2000s. If you find them
funny today, that means it's still funny.
Exactly. So, yeah, like comedy is one of those things. Is it untouchable? Is that untouchable?
Well, Chris D'Elia said before he got, you can't get me because I'm a comedian.
Rap music untouchable, you know.
Historically, yeah.
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 But people do try, you know.
Mm-hmm. Y'all try to cancel Rick Ross. You can't get me. You know. But yeah.
I think the crux of all of that we can gather is like people do change, can change, but I also think it's more important who they are now and who they're trying to be than it is trying to highlight something of the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that it's not important, like, because there are some things that, of course, you know, it's like, ooh, this needs to be highlighted, but also some of that stuff, I don't know if it's necessarily like public internet domain appropriate. I think some of it could be handled better face to face with people that can actually like help the situation rather than just Twitter or Facebook or Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't think that really does any good. It doesn't help counsel the person that you know, yeah, maybe they did those things and they need to be held accountable for it. Then that needs to be handled between that person and the therapist or the authorities or whatever, you know, and then that person, if you still, you know, have contact with that person, or, you know, there's a slew of other ways you could handle, you know, that stuff, but sometimes the internet may not be the way. I'm not completely against it, but I'm, you know, not 100% for it either.
All of these movements start in good intention and then they become something completely different. You know, it all starts out as Gizmo and then y'all put water on it.
Yeah, so it's true. It's true. It's like, yeah, it gets in the wrong hands. Sometimes people will change things from good intentions to bad intentions. Yeah. That's something you got to watch out for.
Yeah, like that's a very good answer, by the way, Brad. And you said it really fast, like you thought about, like how would I get canceled? And then like,
yeah,
you know, but yeah, that's a good answer though. Like I don't feel like we've seen anything like that. Like it's mostly like in the moment. Like I was listening to Flagrant 2 a while back, and he was like, why did they try to cancel Ellen? And Oshkosh was like, because she was mean.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah.
Like,
yeah. So with that, yeah, it is, because I feel like it is at a certain point, you know, because none of us are perfect. You know, like we all do things, say things, and again, I don't know Ellen, so I don't really know that whole thing.
Clearly, we don't know Ellen. We're recording this
but
we're not recording this in the studio, guys.
So I'm not going to speak to anyone's experience with any celebrity or whatnot. I don't know. Those are each individual experiences, isolated incidents that we have nothing to do with. But from my experience, I mean, at least we have to come at it from the perspective of we're all not perfect. All of us have dirt, you know, like all of us have it. Like, but also, I mean, there are situations where it's like, oh, you think you know someone, right? And they show a side of themselves they didn't show you. But then also there are people that do spread things around for, vengeance or, to prop themselves up and feel a certain way about it too. You have to just be very conscientious of all the possible reasonings and scenarios as to why someone would raise awareness of someone's potential guilt, but that accusation doesn't automatically make them guilty either. So we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And tread as carefully as possible, because obviously, I've been posed with the question of if your friend, said that someone did something, would you believe it? And it's like, yeah, I would. If I knew them personally, I would believe them. But then also I understand that if this were to go to court, I would, that they're going to look at all the scenarios and everything, too. It's because it's my job to be there for my friend. It's not my job to sit there and be like, well, I don't know. Did you, the truth will come out.
Yeah, it's like Sarah Silverman's whole response to when the allegations about Louis C.K. came out. She's like, look, I'm going to need some time. This is a really good friend, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
That's a good,
it's response. It's hard to believe, but it's true, and it's going to take time to wrap my head around that, so, and that was the most human response. And people cancel culture, they don't look at human responses. They're like, you did this, even if it's not as crazy as the attacks are. Ellen was being mean, and they tried to cancel her for being mean, and some of the claims are kind of crazy, but it's where's the bar? Anyone can be canceled. You can cut someone off in traffic one time. It's no, road rage is unacceptable in this society. The fuck, everyone has road rage,
oh yeah.
The bar is so low, and you have to have a response, an apology, but if just have one for PR, because we're not going to accept it no matter what you say.
Right.
So it's these apologies are just going through the motion.
Right.
At this point, even if it's genuine, because it's you versus the mob, and the mob wins. Even with Disney has no backbone when it comes to some they'll cancel you if they feel well, the mob is saying we can't be okay with you, so we have to let you go. So
yeah,
Disney's and they're just an example of many. No one has a backbone when it comes to this. If you're in the fire, they're not gonna see if they're not gonna check it out. It's oh, we gotta completely detach from you
Disown
as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's no humanity in society anymore. You know,
True.
You can't have a human response anymore.
Mm.
And that's where we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like we have to keep that in perspective of that we are all human. So
everyone except for Lil Wayne.
He's an alien.
A human being.
He's an alien, absolutely. That's why he raps that way in that voice. The Martian. Yeah. But yeah, like definitely at the end of the day, we're human. We make mistakes. So decide for yourself. Actually, I have a better point that I can make out of that, and that's what is this social culture telling you about yourself? Like, put it back on yourself and like think about it, because I think too many times we're focused on everyone else. Like it's always about the celebrity. It's always about the public figures. It's always about someone else's accountability. Your friends, your family, your idols and whatnot. Like, what about you? What is it?
Whoa! Now the Bible says no false idols.
No false idols.
Whoa! Now canceled.
Yeah, Christians have had a history of canceling things too before.
And now Christians are being canceled.
Now Christianity's canceled. Yeah. But I don't think that's the answer to anything either. Again, it goes back counsel culture, not cancel culture. If this treat everything as a specific issue. But what is all this saying to you personally? You know, like search yourself. You know. So yeah, I don't have all the answers. I'm just a regular dude with a microphone. So I don't claim to know more than someone else does about anything. But just from my personal experience, I've developed more peace in my life because I'm not always worried about what everyone's saying and doing all the time. Like at the end of the day, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram don't mean anything. You know, it really doesn't mean anything other than it's social status, but that goes away. And I mean, I used to have like 10,000 friends on MySpace. Like I was actually very popular on MySpace for a while. And then that platform went down. And then it was like starting all over again.
Yeah.
No one knew who I was. They only knew my alter ego from MySpace.
It's like they get to Facebook and like, hey, are you Brad Pallone from MySpace?
No, not a single person asked, or there's no carryover. There's no carryover.
I actually didn't have a MySpace. I would get on it, but I didn't have one.
Oh, no, you just explore it or get to music or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just at the end of the day, like think about what you're going to carry with you. Mm. Also, the real ones know you. You know, it's not the internet randos.
Yeah.
They may claim to know you, but they don't.
Samantha from Nebraska doesn't know who you are.
But Twitter, I mean, you're the Twitter king. I'm not the Twitter king.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more the Instagram king. But then again, you...
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, you've been pumping out content too. So it's like... Yeah, you've been killing it with your content on Insta and Twitter lately. So I gotta catch up to you. I gotta catch up.
Yeah. Like, Twitter is always my favorite. Like, everyone's like, Twitter is the most toxic. I gotta get off of Twitter. I'm like, yo, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this shit.
I'm
like the Elmo in Fire, with Fire behind him.
Yes.
Like, that's me on Twitter. I'm like, yes, I need this.
That's me on Insta.
I hate Instagram so much.
That's true. I guess that's why you don't use it as much. But yeah, your stories be hitting though.
Yeah. I haven't, at the time recording, have not posted anything since April on Instagram.
Damn.
Yeah, but
Come back.
no, like I really like only go on Instagram to post something on my Instagram story or check on a certain person or whatever. Like that's it to promote. Like the podcasts,
get
just
gigs.
getting weird saying.
Yeah, your podcasts plural.
2 at once. But we should start Dude Island. Even if we just record Dude Island and keep it on our external hard drive.
No.
And it never gets out.
For the Patreon, we'll start a Patreon and then we'll have
a good idea. We actually have a really good idea for a Patreon.
It'll be Dude Island bonus content.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Sync And Desist, the pre-show. Because we say on this podcast all the time, y'all let us know if y'all want a Sync And Desist Patreon. We'll do this. Because we say all the time, we record the real podcast before we record the podcast because we're just talking. Like, what if we turn on a mic for just that? And then on all platforms, you get the actual episode. But we say some crazy shit before we record the podcast.
Be careful. No, but it's entertaining as hell though, for sure. Sometimes we'll be like, we should have hit record before.
That's why, we used to not intro the podcast. It used to just be mid-combo. Because it's more authentic and raw. But we've gotten so good at it, patting ourselves on the backs. Or something else. That'd be on the Patreon. But yeah, I feel like we've gotten so good. Like we can intro the podcast and then get straight to it, and it still be just organic and authentic. Even if we're like, what are we going to talk about before we start? Like, what are we going to record? What are we going to talk about? Like, we still have a way to make it as organic as possible because Brad transitioned to this effortlessly. I was like, yo,
flow state, baby. Flow state.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been crazy. Like last week's episode, we talked about kind of nostalgia, because leading up to doing This Is Nonsense, I've gone back to older podcasts, even older episodes of this podcast. I'm like, we've grown so much, but I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for those early episodes because we say after the Make Your Dream Team or whatever that the name of the episode was, we say that's when the podcast got good, but there's some good stuff in those first few handful of episodes.
Yeah,
even in Politically Inappropriate, there's some hella raunchy shit in that podcast, and This Is Nonsense. We definitely cut our teeth on that, and then I feel like Sync and Desist we just took off because that first episode feels like Sync and Desist.
Yes,
so I feel like we've grown so much.
That's why last week's episode I appreciated that we kind of went down the movie memory lane because it's we also have to remember that we're not only a social commentary podcast, but we cover entertainment because what we connect with is through movies and music and. That's not the core niche about the podcast necessarily, but that's an overarching theme throughout is that we're creatives and what inspires us is movies and music. So, realizing our roots there and talking about that stuff is good as well as the important stuff. But also in your solo cast, you get to dive even deeper into more cultural and social commentary, getting into subjects that not that I necessarily hold you back from, but when it's just you and your mind going, you got the mic, you can go down areas that without me in the way, so to speak,
And it's funny that you say that, because I that first episode was so rough for me to do, because I actually recorded it 3 times, because I locked myself in my room for like 4 hours, and I was like, so I have an outline. I know what I want to talk about. I know I want to go in with a bang, and I want to like talk about like important shit all the way through. And then after the first episode, we can loosen up and we can have like these conversations, but it doesn't have to be as serious, So I had an outline, but I locked myself in my room for 4 hours. I recorded one episode. Like I got like maybe like halfway through, and I'm like, this feels like Sync and Desist. Then I recorded a full, like pretty much a full episode. I was like, that's Sync and Desist. And like, but in that second one, I was like, I said exactly what you just said. It's like, it's not that you get in the way or like hold me back from having these conversations. Like, I can dedicate a whole episode to this. And it's like, because some stuff like, maybe like the Black Lives Matters episodes, you might not be able to contribute so much to it because that's not your experience. You can only speak from an outside perspective. But like with this, I can dedicate a whole episode to that, and it be like, an experience. And like, that's what's good about Sync and Desist, is that it is both sides. Like I can talk about the Black experience from the inside, and you can talk about it from the outside. It's like, oh, I didn't see that from that perspective, so like it's good to have both, so it's like I like in that episode I was like, it's not that I don't get to talk about what I want to talk about in Sync and Desist, it's not that at all. It's just another platform and vehicle to express like my opinions and experiences, and then the third episode I was like, okay, this is more like what I want to do. And that was the episode that went out. And felt like I kind of scared people away with the title of the first episode, but that was the point.
Exactly. It's also going to get the attention that you want too. So, but yeah, it's the same with like me playing in more than one band. It's like one band with these group of guys, they have they have a completely different way of writing and recording music. It's a different genre. And then the other guys, we do it the old school, like jam band style way, and then track everything out differently than the other band. So you kind of just, no one person is one dimensional. There's multi dimensions. Like there's aspects of conversation that you can dive into without anyone else. Like, again, not like you're saying I'm getting in the way of it, but it's like, but when you're alone, like there's a totally different thought process. Like the pathways of your brain go down a different route. Whereas you have someone with you, it's like you have banter, and I may have a tendency to talk about certain things, and you with me has a tendency to talk about certain things. But yeah, when it's just you and your thoughts, you could have a completely different side of things, and actually even surprise yourself too. Be like, I didn't know I even thought about it like that until I was already saying it. So you're actually teaching yourself about yourself and how you think.
And it's like, because you have to have like the way I do it, like I have to have a conversation with myself basically, and like present like ideas to the audience, and like doing a solo episode of Sync and Desist, like that was hella easy. Like I just sat here and I just had an episode of Sync and Desist. It's like, it's not both of us, but like I'm doing something different. And like when we are talking, for those of you watching the podcast, you may notice like when Brad's going into something, I'm listening, but I'm probably not like looking at the camera, or I'm not like I'm thinking while I'm listening. Like I'm hear everything he's saying, but it's like I'm thinking of where, like I'm trying to make a connection to like something else, like to add to the conversation, and you don't have that when it's just you. So it's like, it's going to be completely different, So it's like, it's a little more challenging
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially trying to do a completely different show. It's challenging, but I feel like it's good to have both. Because like it's like just this whole year is like you've been with yourself in the pandemic. You've had to sit with yourself, and I feel like that's kind of like just what it is. Like recording a solo episode, it's like I'm sitting with myself and I'm putting only my thoughts out there.
Right.
Where here we can bounce ideas off of each other, and like we can hear two different perspectives, and we can bounce ideas off of each other, and like maybe we can come to a different conclusion or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to have both. Like I think you should start a solo podcast. Because like you used to do like the live streams.
I did.
All the time before Instagram Live.
I did. You're right. I did. I'm working on it. I'm trying to see where I want to go with it. Because I enjoy entertainment and like movie reviews. I talked with you about that before. It's like I used to do like 5-minute movie reviews. Maybe something there. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's healthy to have different outlets.
That's a good show, like 5-minute movie reviews.
Yeah.
That's a good, like, a quick show. It's like, I'm giving myself 5 minutes to review this movie.
That's,
And, like, you have to break down the whole movie.
It didn't start that way.
You might not get everything.
Yeah. It didn't start that way, but then I decided to cap it at only, 5 minutes or so. So that would be kind of cool to bring that concept back and be like,
We're bringing all the old ideas back. We're bringing back This Is Nonsense 5-minute movie reviews.
Right. Yeah. So
bring back that song.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
No, but yeah, like just podcasting period is very cathartic.
Cathartic for your boy over there too.
Someone's home. No, Brad, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Brad Pallone. You can find me on Twitter at Brad_Pallone. And you can also find my photography at Ghost Proof Photography on all social media platforms. And also my band, Battle of Heart and Mind, wherever you find music, and Cascadent, wherever you find music as well. Rob?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at RobertDXN. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel because that is where the This Is Nonsense video podcast will be. And This Is Nonsense is available every Thursday on all podcasting platforms. Wherever you listen to podcasts, please rate, review, subscribe, and share that one. And please follow Sync and Desist on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sync and Desist. And we were throwing around the idea of that TikTok. But where we do 60-second movie reviews.
It's a challenge.
And challenge accepted. But and you can find this podcast wherever you find podcasts. So please rate, review, subscribe, and share. And please enjoy Juneteenth, and we will catch you next week.
Later.